All right. So welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the second in our series of Tikkun Olam Tuesdays. Last week, for those who weren't with us, we had a conversation about the origin of Tikkun Olam, this concept of that has come to be known and associated with the service work and making the world a better place, even if that wasn't its original intent, as we explored last week, and some of the moral imperatives that we have as Jews to reach out to folks and do what we can to help those who are in need, particularly in the times and situations in which we find ourselves, and trying to figure out how we can balance reaching out and helping others while also social distancing and staying at home and isolating as much as we can, because that's also a form of taking care of those who are in need as well. Today, I'm delighted to have a special guest who some of you are privileged enough to know, others will be privileged enough to know by the time we're done here this morning. My guest is Lila Guirguis. Lila is the executive director of the Karsh Family Social Service Center at the Temple. It's hard to believe, but just a few weeks ago, celebrated her 2-year anniversary of being with us. And I was thinking it both feels like yesterday and forever that Lila has been our fearless leader. Lila has a very impressive background. She comes to us most recently from the city of Pasadena, where she created the Office of the Young Child. Did I get that right? Yeah, Office of the Young Child, working on early childhood development policy for the city. And prior to that was the founding director of something called the Magnolia Community Initiative, in association with Children's Bureau, where she oversaw a network of 70 or so, I believe, cross-sector community organizations, all working to improve the lives of folks in the neighborhood and in the catchment area that Magnolia and Children's Bureau served. And we're blessed and lucky enough to have her be just crazy enough to come and take over the ship that is the Karsh Center. So Lila, thank you for being with us this morning.
My pleasure.
For letting me and hopefully all of us pepper you with some questions and kind of pick your brain. So I have a few questions for you. I thought we'd start there, and then if for those of us who are joining us, if you have a pen handy and questions come to mind, write them down, and then we're going to have a little Q&A in about 15 or 20 minutes, something like that. So first and foremost, Lila, we're open, right?
We are open. Yes, absolutely.
So what does that currently look like? What services are we currently still able to provide? And yeah.
Well, we've significantly had to drop some of our ongoing services, our basic ones like dental and vision, our mental health services, and our collaborators are going remote in some cases, where the mental health services are doing telehealth. We have our enrichment programs like the Children's Bureau enrichment doing Facebook play dates. We have our feast program calling their different participants and checking in with one another. So what we've done at the Karsh Center is really cull it down to our basic services, and that is food, providing bags and grocery bags of food, and diapers and toiletries when needed. And we are lucky enough to have some newborn baby bags that were created by the WBT Religious School, which was in preparation for our Mother's Day event, which unfortunately is going to have to be postponed. So we are currently open on Wednesdays for appointments. So people are coming in, they're calling, and we're fitting in 10 to 15 minute appointment slots for folks to come in. And we're still open on our Sunday food pantry. And we've expanded that from just 1 hour on a Sunday to 2 hours. So serving 7:30 to 9:30 on Sunday morning.
And so Sunday morning specifically, because I know that's a program that a lot of folks are familiar with.
Right.
How does that look different than it did, let's say, 2 months ago?
Well, yeah, things have dramatically shifted and changed. We've been having to be very flexible and nimble, and really still depending on our volunteers. So many of you, folks like Maggie, are coming in. Our utmost concern is really with the keeping in mind the safety of the staff, the volunteers, and the clients. A few changes have been made where in the line, and why we're starting at 7:30 versus 8:30 is because we've had folks for years line up at sometimes as early as 5 in the morning for our Sunday morning food pantry. And so we're trying to get people through the line, keeping the social distancing, having our security staff, which has been amazing. The facility staff continues to support us. And so we are currently, instead of folks signing in, we are signing them in. We're letting 2 to 3 people in at a time. We're having now one bag where we used to have two different kind of bags, which was a kitchen and no kitchen bag. And so we're still playing around with, how to accommodate those who may not have a kitchen, a stove, a refrigerator. So we're filling bags with, eat and go type of items like peanut butter or cereal, um, nuts and things like that. And we're really keeping the amount of volunteers and the amount of people that are physically in the food pantry at a minimum. I would say no more than 5. All the bags now are prepped ahead of time. So really what we're doing is being able to ask people what kind of produce they might want, whether it's a fruit or a type of vegetable that we might get, and a type of proteins. So, what kind of meat? Sometimes it's ham or turkey, or we've been lucky enough to get some roast beef. So, yes, it's a little different, but we're still. I think what we're hearing is people are so thankful. They're thankful. They're expressing their surprise that we're open, and just really understanding, around the social distancing, why we need to keep that, being very patient, and so it's been working really well so far.
That sort of leads to my next question. Beyond the food pantry, which you just shared, what are we doing to really ensure the safety of both the limited number of volunteers we have and particularly our clients who
Right.
are vulnerable and maybe coming in larger numbers?
So we really are following very closely the guidelines of the CDC, not allowing more than 10 people in to our lobby space at a time. Every volunteer, every staff member is wearing gloves. When we're in direct contact with volunteers, so the person who is, let's say, taking the names at the Sunday food pantry is wearing a mask. And so we're trying to follow all of those guidelines. We have for appointments, people are coming in one at a time, one family at a time, and then wiping all the surfaces down. And that's why it's so critical. And we feel incredibly lucky that we still have facility staff members that are continuing to work, and as well as security. So we, even before the stay at home order happened, we had signs up around the center about basic hygiene, but increased hygiene around washing your hands and all the surfaces. And so really it's about limiting exposure, being able to be ready ahead of time. So for appointments, all of the diaper bags are prepared ahead of time. All of the food bags are prepared ahead of time. And our staff member who is continuing to take calls 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, is doing the intake over the phone. So all of these things we've been learning as we've been going and are really are helping us become a little bit more efficient as each day goes by, and really keep the family safe, keep the staff safe. Um, so that's all in our forefront right now.
Absolutely. I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier. It's saying that many of our clients come and they're surprised to see that we're open.
Hmm.
Um, do you have a sense that our client population and that our potential client population know that we're open, or do you think we're the best kept secret?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think that yes, people, we are asking as everybody calls, how, where were you referred from, and some have been anywhere from 211 LA County, to St. Anne's, to our other collaborators. We've heard family, friends, a neighbor. So again, I think word is getting out. And we're trying to a delicate balance because we know we have limited capacity. We are a staff of 6. It is challenging to be able to prepare so many bags. But I think what we are seeing is that we're calling back, and we're letting our existing clients know that we're open, and if they are in need of some very basic services, that they can come in, whether it's for an appointment or on Sunday morning. But the word's getting out, and so we feel that that our community is knowing, and many people directly in and around the center. So the area of Koreatown, a few blocks down the street, we're meeting some of our neighbors for the first time, are really understanding that we're there to support them.
It's terrific. Um, are we doing anything, or is there an opportunity, do you think, or a need to do anything to educate our client population about COVID-19 and about this coronavirus and the need for social distancing and the need for isolation and these sorts of things that maybe we're aware of because of our degree of media consumption and the networks that we're plugged into, but that perhaps is not spreading as much through other communities?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think what we're hearing is that people are a little bit overwhelmed. They're overstimulated by the amount of information that is out there. And what we are not keeping track of, which I think that we can do a little bit better, is understanding the other language media outlets. So the Korean media, the Spanish media, which are the 2 primary languages in Koreatown that we serve. If there is different messaging, if they're hearing something else, I think there's a lot of uncertainty as to what is going to happen in the months ahead. I think that people are experiencing their partners or their family members being laid off, and not knowing when they're going to be able to return to work. um, I think it's out there because LAUSD is closed down, and so the other understanding of what's happening, the need for social distancing, the need for really the stay at home, I think is clear. It's a matter of when this might end, what is the later impact that is going to really hit our clients and our community in a significant way down the road.
Yeah, the worst, unfortunately, may yet be to come.
Yeah.
Have we seen a shift or a change at all in who our client population is and who we're serving? As you mentioned, people are getting laid off, and people's economic realities are changing, and the reality of their lives are changing. Are we seeing a different kind of folks come through the door at all yet?
Well, I can tell you we've seen a lot of new clients come in, clients who've never walked through the doors of the Karsh Center before. In our 7 days of operation, meaning from March 18th to March 29th, we've served over 700 clients. And for operating twice a week or 3 times a week, it's a pretty significant number. So we know that people are talking to their friends and their neighbors. We are seeing individuals who are perhaps coming from other pockets of Los Angeles City. Um, and so maybe not so much around the Karsh Center. And I think that's because the word is getting around. I saw this not this past Sunday, but when I was at the food pantry a couple Sundays ago, where people were coming essentially within their own neighborhood block or within their own apartment complex. Um, and so we've been seeing a lot more of family, friends, and neighbors coming together. We did have, I was at the front desk last week where a person came in. He heard that we were giving food. We said, did he have an appointment? He didn't. And his cell phone service was cut off. And so we're now saying, okay, well, if we're saying make an appointment and you can't call in, because your cell phone service is cut off, then we need to be accommodating in different ways. Some people are confused. They are used to coming in for their appointments with Betzetic. Betzetic is now doing all of their legal appointments over the phone. But this one woman in particular came in through an Uber and said, could she get a bag of food? And she couldn't come back on Friday when we had an open appointment because she was getting dialysis. So we've also had to be really nimble, even with our own guidelines and how we've tried to manage crowds and just say, folks are needing help right now. And if we can do it, we'll really try to do it and accommodate.
It's so important. And to be able to do it with a level of compassion and understanding that, we may have rules and protocols and all sorts of ways that we deliver services. And yet there may be clients that for all the right reasons aren't able to follow that and make use of those avenues.
Yeah.
So to be able to help means a lot.
That's what we're hearing from some of our longstanding collaborators. So KYCC, for example, is we usually serve their Menlo apartments through our Tuesday mobile food pantry program. But they also have another apartment complex. And so they have 100 seniors that have needed some support. So on top of the appointments, what we've also been doing is preparing bags of food for people concerned, for KYCC, for Lanterman Regional Center, basically in 100 bags at a time. So these are also the type of requests that are coming in are for organizations. So they're coming with their truck, with their staff, into the parking structure and loading all the bags and then delivering it to their clients' homes often, and trying to really prioritize seniors, prioritize women who are pregnant and are home with young children. So we're also trying to meet the need in that way as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's almost as though we're exploring a new avenue, sort of as being a sub-regional food pantry of sorts,
Absolutely.
instead of being direct to consumer, as they would say, right? Being a little bit more of a middleman in a good way, and to be able to provide food security through other organizations to their clients and individuals. Do we have any concern, or have we seen any challenge in maintaining our supply of food? Because I know so much of what we're doing right now is food related.
Yeah, for example, we ran out of pasta last week, which was a staple. We provide, rice, a starch, but one of the things that we consistently put in the bag is pasta. So we've run out of that. And when our food pantry coordinator called to create an order, that was also not available. So I think we're running out of some canned goods. And really seeing sometimes we're at the mercy of LA Regional Food Bank and what it is that they have coming in. We also supplement by buying food, oftentimes fresh produce and dairy. And I don't think we can get it in our center fast enough sometimes. So we are looking at our food orders. Francis, who is our director of programs and operations, is really overseeing all of the ordering, along with Lizzie, who's sort of helping, because many of our volunteers are the ones that are really the ones who help inform us what is in our dry goods area, what we could be potentially running out of. And so, and we've changed our food pantry delivery date, to accommodate our shortened hours that we're in the center. And so that has also thrown off some of our food availability.
So I'm watching everyone on gallery view so I can sort of see everyone, just in case you thought that no one could see you right now. And I imagine that what's going through a lot of our minds right now is, this sounds amazing, and we're so happy and proud that we're still able to help people. But what can I personally do to help? And I know that we have limited volunteer capacity, but what, how can all of us on this call, all of us watching, what can we do to help support the effort at Karsh?
Well, I thank you for being on the call and for being interested in what we're doing, number one. I think that there's a few different things. Well, Lizzie and Francis and I are playing around with the idea of maybe doing a canned goods drive or a grain drive of, like, for rice or for pasta, being able to send it directly to the center. You can donate as well. We are purchasing food, and we're hitting a capacity level where it is going above and beyond what we normally spend on food. I think for those of you who are used to volunteering or know about our volunteer program at the People Concern, they have essentially shut down their volunteer efforts for the time being, but are continuing to serve the homeless. And we were preparing 250 sandwich bags on Sunday, and we continue to pay for that. And so we felt ethically that's a critical service that they rely on. They rely on our support, and so we continue to support that effort. So I think just really, we're also collecting toiletries. So, for example, a woman came into the center this past Sunday and not only asked for diapers, but socks. And so even in our response to Alexandria House, the domestic violence shelter that one of their homes caught on fire about a week and a half ago. And so we were one of those first responders to their request. They had, over 20 moms that were displaced and 15 to 20 children. And so we gave them larger toiletry items like full size shampoo, feminine hygiene products, toothpaste, toothbrushes. So unfortunately, there's tragedy, that is happening on these very unusual circumstances, and we're trying to become and continue to be a resource within our community. So I think that we are continuing to collect goods like toiletries, goods like packaged rice, packaged pasta, canned goods, and so those, and even just donate. On our website right now is probably the easiest way, because we know that checks that are coming into the center are not being picked up as often, obviously for obvious reasons. So the fastest way is through donating on our page. Just again, in these last 7 days, we've distributed just shy of 15,000 individual diapers. So again, these are essential items that our community is needing.
Wow. 15,000 diapers?
15,000. I know. I looked and re-looked at those numbers. It was incredible. I mean, and even when I say that we serve 700 clients, that's 850 grocery bags, and that's 5,100 meals. And because we are overpacking the grocery bags that now equal, each bag is about 6 to 7 meals per family.
Wow.
Amazing.
Thank you doesn't seem like it does justice to the amazing work that you and the team are doing and continue to do. But thank you. Questions, comments, concerns, offenses?
Just one question really quick.
Carlos.
Any lack of volunteers?
I don't think so. I think Lizzie is continuing. We did put one other layer in place for the safety of our clients and volunteers around qualifying to volunteer. So, you know, if anybody's been sick or at home with somebody who is sick or has traveled in the past couple weeks to locations that have COVID-19. But I think that there isn't a lack of volunteers at this point. Some of it is our ability to really express and to see what it is volunteers could do, especially if they want to do something within their home and are unable to necessarily come into the center.
Thank you.
Just a second, Toby, I think you're muted.
We have to tell her. I just told her. I just wrote her she's muted.
Toby, there you go.
I just.
No, we still can't hear you. Toby, we still can't hear you. You're welcome. You can also ask your question in the chat and I'll be happy to ask it for you on your behalf. Maggie did also just mention that socks and toiletries are also a need that we have that some of the clients have been asking routinely.
Yes.
Socks and toiletries.
And I think, am I unmuted? I think that socks are probably things that people can still order online. I mean, canned goods are hard to find even online now.
Yeah.
But for sure, socks and basic toiletries still seem to be available. I don't know, Lila, if there's like a link to a list, because I've never donated through the website, but.
Yeah, we also have an Amazon wish list that we've created. What we've been wanting to do, and I know that with every appointment that we have coming in, we are putting children's books in the bags as well, because just typically in normal operations, every child that comes into the center gets to take a free book home. So now that we know that kids are home and some point we know that they're not necessarily have as much educational materials at their home, so we are trying to see, can we put some activity books in the bag, could we continue to provide children's books, and so we do have an Amazon wish list going as well. I could certainly send out the link, or I think the link is on our Facebook page, if I'm not mistaken.
Sorry, Toby, for some reason, we're still not able to hear you, even though it does look like you're unmuted.
Can I also add something from the volunteer front?
Of course, Lizzie.
Which is, I think, you know, as Lila has said, we're really working to stay nimble and attuned to the needs of clients that are continuing to come up. So I think where we're at as far as volunteer capacity now and consumer projects that you can do at home versus on site is really evolving conversation and pretty constant. Our food pantry leadership and volunteers have been amazing coming in and packing those bags. Shout out to Maggie and Sunshine for doing the ordering. But we, are continuing to grow the list. So if you're interested at all in being involved now or just in the future, I'd be happy if you shoot me an email. My email is elizabeth@karshcenter.org. And I can add you to our distribution list so that you can continue to see what we're up to, see our most recent needs, as well as other big needs that we're hearing in the community from other organizations that are doing amazing work in several different directions. So we're kind of trying to set up for this immediate round of needs, as well as more long-term things that we know are going to emerge.
Yeah, thanks, Lizzie.
Well, thank you everybody for taking the time to join us this morning. Again, thank you, Lila, for making time, Lizzie as well. And also a thank you to the whole Karsh team. I know better than most how much time, effort, and energy you and Lizzie and Francis and Ben and Lupe and Zena and everyone have really put in these past few weeks to help us pivot and be nimble and be able to respond in a meaningful way to our clients' needs and be able to still be open for them in a way that keeps them safe and keeps us safe. I know how much work it has been and will continue to be. And, on behalf of a grateful congregation and all the clients who maybe aren't always able to express their gratitude in the most evident way, thank you all. It means, I know, more than words can say.
Thank you. I think, and I can speak on behalf of myself, but I know from all of our staff that we feel, really privileged as we listen to the news and we hear, the extent to which families, the healthcare workers are being stretched, that we can do this, small part. I think that we all feel really lucky to be able to do that. And that really the temple created the Karsh Center so that we could be here for our immediate community. And really grateful to all the volunteers. I mean, that food pantry's been running for 31 years, and we feel incredibly lucky to continue to hold that tradition.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful Tuesday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.